everybody's shopping at the same.
Everybody's going to wear it from now on.
Wait, are they Trump guys?
Maybe.
Karlovics.
Black and white one.
We were at
I printed it for myself.
we were
That's your one?
across from Cross River.
Oh, you got that?
Sure.
I flipped this tie over. He says
Well,
he doesn't.
yeah, well, they just delivered it. I complained about it.
That's hilarious.
We'll call the village board meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ghost. Trustee Jensen.
Here.
Trustee Miller. Here. Trustee Addison. Trustee Siddick. Here. Trustee Wells. Here. Attorney Frollo.
Here.
Mayor Becker.
Here.
And Clerk McDonald is present.
All right, we have a quorum. If you would rise and we pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a crowd tonight. Sorry. Usually it's just my wife, so pardon me when I get excited, there's extra people here. Now is the time for public comment on any agenda items. This is the first of two opportunities to comment on to the board, I should say, public comment to the board. The second opportunity is towards the end of our agenda. I see Mr. O'Rear has come to the front. All we ask is that you come to the podium and state your name and your case.
David O'Rear, 9872 West Marguerite Lane, Beach Park, Illinois. The property that's in question here tonight is, I haven't seen a plan or I have no idea. How is the parking situation being addressed on that?
Without getting into a ton of details, basically they have a two-stage plan. One is the existing conditions as they are now, and then another, adding another, I think it's 20 spaces to the rear lot, finishing that off. But for the initial phase, it would be the parking that you see there.
Since this has started, all I've heard that we've got a community center. You know, I don't know what the longer, naturally it is not going. A prime piece of property for being used as is. The house is a situation. I have mixed opinions on a community center. What are the limitations on it? What can they do? What can't they do? Will they be looking for a temporary liquor license for occasions? All these questions come to mind, and it's. I would hope that the board tonight considers all of the pros and cons to this situation, because number one, the parking situation coming in a second phase of it, that the phase seems to always disappear when there's a second phase to something. At what point does the second phase begin? So what are you going to have? All this parking on the street, is that going to resolve the issues? How big with 20 spots out back and there's 8 or 10 in front? I'm not sure what the exact count is. I'm having a problem buying the situation that's being addressed, put before this board. And I don't see where the village of Beach Park is going to gain anything from it. We're going to lose a very possible good source of tax revenue by the changes that are being made here tonight. And it scares me whenever I see anything on Sheridan Road that comes before the board, because Sheridan Road is at a point where the decisions being made, sometimes I question which way we're going. I've got brother-in-law lives in White Lake, Wisconsin. Just moved up there. And I go through those little towns going up there, and I see those little towns. You know, they might only have 3 buildings in the little town, but the grass is cut, everything is mowed, everything is organized, everything. You know, we're going on what, 25, 30 years of village? We're not making any headway with it. So every time we think we're moving forward, we take a step back. And this decision tonight that comes out of this will be, if approved, will be a negative decision for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other members of the public wish to address the board on any agenda items? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda tonight includes the following. Approval of the village board regular meeting minutes from May 26th of 22. And bills presented for payment in the amount of $222,934.58. Is there anything the board would have considered outside of the consent agenda? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by trustee Gus, second by trustee Miller. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen. Trustee Miller. Aye. Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick. Aye. Trustee Wells.
Motion carries. All right. Moving on to mayor's report. Wanted to take a moment and just, I think the board is well aware, but sharing the passing of a good friend of Beach Park, and that is Ken Marabella. Ken, from my perspective, came to me in a dire time of need, referred by another good friend, had made himself available as a contractor to come in to municipalities such as ours. At the time that he came in, we had just lost our mayor. We had lost 2 key staff positions, and we were making our way, but just. And I like to say Ken helped me dig our way out of a pretty deep hole at that time. He brought 30-plus years of municipal wisdom to the table for a community that wasn't even that old. He guided via Skype call from the Bahamas, with the ocean in.
He always answered.
He was always there. He guided us as a board through priority sessions, through planning and strategic thinking. He helped me find several key people here in the village, not the least of which is our current administrator.
And his predecessor.
And his predecessor. He knew everybody. He had wisdom to kind of take a step back, if you would, when something might be heating up, and just kind of pause and think about it. And I counted him as a friend. I might have only had him in my life for 10 years, but that was an important 10 years, and I definitely will miss him. I shared all of this with his wife Sheila and his sons that were at the funeral. He just left a mark for me and on our village in a very positive way. So he'll be missed. I know there are other municipalities that Green Oaks and some of the others that he really helped in similar ways. So great guy, and I'm sorry to see him go. So back to business. We have an appointment tonight. With the board's agreement and consent, I would like to appoint Timothy Evans as hearing officer for the Village Beach Park. Our current hearing officer, as you'll see in your memo, Bill Franks, has retired again. I don't know how many times a guy can retire, but he's retired from this position. And Mr. Franks did a great job, and I'm confident that our new appointee, Tim Evans, will also do a great job. Many of you know Tim has served as the liquor commissioner prosecutor, which I've worked closely with him on those regards. I think it was asked if there's any conflict between acting in both roles, and really the two never really meet. Adjudication of code enforcement is not tied directly to liquor licenses in any way. If it is, it's because we have a liquor license problem and we're tying code enforcement to that, which is just a different way of getting things done. It does not directly align with, we don't do liquor prosecutions in the adjudication court, or hearings, I should say. So I would ask for, first I would ask for the board's consent and approval of this appointment. I guess I would ask if there's any dissent.
I'll make a motion to that.
We have a motion for appointment. Okay. Do we have a second? Second by trustee Otterson. Discussion?
Just a question.
Yes.
The resolution says that this gentleman meets the minimum qualifications. Just out of curiosity, what are the minimum qualifications?
We should. You don't. I know I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not asking, I have a job, in a way.
We did list the minimum qualifications in the agreement itself. It's licensed in the state of Illinois, and I believe it's a minimum of 3 years of practice, and training for the processes and procedures for the role. Did I miss any?
I move we buy a new microphone for that.
Yeah.
We are having a little trouble.
We have another one. It's a minimum of 3 years.
There you go.
Licensed practice in the state of Illinois and trained for the position.
Okay.
Thank you.
And a license attorney. Any other questions?
I just had a quick question.
Sure.
How many hearings does Beach Park actually have on a monthly basis?
How many,
We do one hearing a month, and at that hearing, we hear anywhere between 5 and 20 cases. The upticks are usually snow-related parking violations.
other discussion? All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otterson.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick. Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Motion carries, and part two of this is approving his, we have the resolution authorizing his independent contractor agreement, which is also included in your packet. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Trustee Addison, second by Trustee Gus. Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Miller. Aye. Trustee Otterson.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick. Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Tim, thank you very much, appreciate it.
What would be Tim?
All right. Okay, moving on to trustee reports. Up first, Finance Committee, Trustee Jensen.
I have nothing apart from announcing the date and time of our next meeting, June 22nd, 6 p.m., somewhere in this building.
All right, somewhere, and the place to be named later. All right, Trustee Gust, what do you got?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just one item, two items tonight. We got the nice brochures printed up for our beach, our fest coming up, and today I talked to three gentlemen. They all have food trucks, so hopefully 2 out of the 3 will get signed up to be there that day.
Are we going to have any other food vendors participating?
I'm working on 6 of them, so
Okay.
hopefully we'll end up with 4 or 5 different
Perfect.
on it, so
Are we subsidizing the car show yet?
partially we are. That's what makes it.
Trustee Gus, do you
Yes.
mind if on the subsidizing the car show, part of that also includes the entertainment, so it's
Entertainment, trophies, whatever.
band and a DJ, that's part of that.
Yeah, it's
So
just pay- yeah.
that's part of
I
that
bet you Culver doesn't pay them to come and open their hoods in their parking lot.
cost.
Maybe.
Yeah. That ends my report.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to Building, Planning, and Zoning Committee, Trustee Wells. What have you got for us tonight, sir?
Thank you. Just cough drop.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, now,
I have for your consideration an ordinance approving a petition for club pay sale and also for a conditional use permit for community center and caretaker dwelling at 38594 North Sheridan Road. The Planning Commission Zoning Board of Appeals held a hearing regarding the petition of Club Apacio El Alto for a conditional use permit for a community center and caretaker dwelling in the two structures located at 38594 North Sheridan Road. The petition is unique in that the community center intends to operate at a limited capacity prior to completing improvements such as a new parking lot, the rear of the building. Discussion at the Planning Commission hearing focused on traffic concerns, compatibility with the residential area to the west, and concerns related to the plan for interim operation. The Commission made a motion that included several conditions of approval. However, the motion failed with a tie vote of 3-3 and 1 absent. While the recommendation by the Planning Commission failed to pass, the ordinance for the board's consideration has been drafted using conditions of approval discussed by the Commission as specified by Section 12.6 of the Zoning Code, titled Village Board of Trustees. The responsibility of the Board of Trustees is to approve, disapprove, or modify all proposed conditions using plan development, zoning ordinance, zoning amendments upon receipt of recommendation from the Plan Commission. The attached excerpt from the application have been updated following the hearing. I have asked the petitioner to update these sections because the mitigation requires mitigation measures to address compatibility with the surrounding area evolved during the hearing. Let's see, there's a little bit more to this. On review of the updated submittal and testimony reflected in the minutes of the Plan Commission meeting, staff has identified several concerns that the board may wish to discuss with the petitioner. Petitioner has stated that at the hearing that special events would be held off-site. The updated submittal states that special events would be held at this location once the parking lot is completed. There are no discussions at the public hearing as to the capacity, frequency, or hours of special events. Since the updated material reflects the testimony at the hearing, the draft ordinance includes the condition discussed by the Planning Commission that prohibits special events at the subject location. Number 2, the site plan shows vehicle park and location identified at the hearing as the exit drive for food distribution activity. And number 3, in testimony at the hearing, the petitioner indicated that the director of the organization has an unrelated full-time job. The board may wish to discuss whether the director's limited presence would meet the intent of a caretaker's dwelling. And I submit that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the ordinance, the amended ordinance. I'd like to clarify, that was provided, okay, in your, in addition to your packet, initial packet. Is there a second? Someone else speak it?
Second is just needed to start the discussion.
Yes.
Correct? I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Wells and a second by trustee Otterson. I'll open the discussion on the board for deliberation purposes. Any comments?
Here, I've got a lengthy list of questions for our staff, primarily, if I may.
You may.
I don't know where to start. First of all, with absent the request for the variances under the CUP, what of the functions that are proposed would be permitted regardless of the current zone, notwithstanding the caretaker for just the primary structure.
Well, the community center itself, the use is defined as a conditional use in the zoning code. So, subject to the standards for a conditional use, the community center would be able to do whatever functions are approved in an ordinance. So if they have specific types of activities that they've identified in the testimony and the application, that is what the conditional use would apply to. So, for example, classes, they've asked for classes, food distribution, so those types of activities are on the table.
And so in some ways, this kind of is similar to the cake making classes that were held at Cracking Cakes, where, and I don't believe, did we have issues with noise or congestion or traffic or complaints on neighbors when those took place?
It predates my time here, and I'm not sure of that.
There were some parking issues.
Yeah.
They were
Well,
double parked.
I know,
yeah.
I know,
Correct me if I'm wrong, there's actually posted no parking on Christie at this point, if I remember correctly.
well, I just drove by there today because I wanted to have better inform myself, and I saw that Coolidge also was placarded no parking.
And that was as a result of
Okay.
previous.
Where else was I going to go? That kind of covered my questions I had. Oh, have you conferred with your colleagues, your counterparts in Waukegan, or visited the Waukegan facility to get some feel for issues that have arisen there, or actual issues that's there?
I've driven by it. I have not spoken with Waukegan.
Other discussion? Yes.
Just a couple things that I wanted to mention. I don't like the interim plan versus the final plan. There's comments in there about how it would be difficult to monitor or enforce the plan for the number of people coming and going. So I personally would be more comfortable if the parking lot and everything was complete before they were given occupancy period. No two-stage plan. The other question I had, if the development does get done and going towards the final plan, would it be possible, or would the developers be willing to entertain, rather than the back parking lot spilling out on Coolidge, to have it spill out on Chrissy, where there is no homes and no driveways?
Was that addressed at the hearing?
It was something that was discussed at the hearing. The petitioner did indicate that that's something that they would be open to. It was not a modification that was set at the hearing, though. It was informal discussion. But they did indicate that that's something that they would consider.
I see on the future site plan, it shows the front parking lot on Sheridan Road and then a paved driveway along the north side of the building between the detached garage behind the caretaker's home and whatever. So I would think that would be a big help for traffic flow or any congestion concerns if people were to enter on Sheridan and then stop at whatever point they're stopping to collect their food and then exit out onto Chrissy and then go back to Sheridan. Then there was question at the hearing about cars stacking up on Sheridan Road if people, they have appointments for 15-minute intervals for pickups, but one person comes late and
Right.
the other one comes early. Now you got four, so I would be more comfortable in the long run if this parking lot in the rear were to be adjusted to go out on Chrissy.
Okay. Trustee Wells?
That was one of my concerns as well. I thought it would be much less impactful on the residential area, as opposed to going on in Coolidge if we discharge the traffic out on Chrissy, if it were approved. I also had a number of other questions that weren't actually answered during the hearing. I was curious as to what type of services were they. I heard they'd be collecting and distributing food, clothing, medicine. And they would be taking donations and collection. I was just curious if those activities were currently being, were currently being done at the other location in Waukegan. You have a location in Waukegan. They're doing the distribution of medicine, food, clothing. How do they go about doing that?
Whoever's going to address that, if you could come up to the podium, to the microphone, we are being recorded, so we want to make sure that. And just let us know what your name is and then proceed.
Hello?
My name is Armando Peña. I'm the president of the organization, a founder.
Okay.
And well, about his question on the clause and the medication and all that, we do only once a month. We give away to the people. They come and they grab and they leave. And even that part, we wanted to plan, but we have the new parking lot so we can get enough space for, because that and that kind of occasion is like a garage sale. You know, people is gonna come and you never know what time we start. It's at 12 to 2. You know, train hours. They're gonna be there, but and then we are wanna be only when there's all the parking done, so we can have enough spaces. So people parking go into the building because there's a big hole there, and it's a nice space for the clothes and the wheelchairs, walkers, all the stuff for whatever they need or whatever people need something, they can grab and they take it. We not do any charge, nothing. It's, you know, we not profit 513, so that's that.
Are all your services free,
Yes, sir.
including food distribution?
Yes, sir.
What about the collection of these items you use, dropping off food?
No, the medicine, no, not really. We don't work with the medicine. We just some people sometimes they donate it, you know, wheelchairs, walkers, but we just whenever somebody needs it, sometimes they call out and make like a giveaway and buy. And one time a month, whatever is donated or wheelchairs on that, we planning to do once a month, but not often. So we see how we do, you know, and not make it, you know, the situation about the parking, the traffic. The workshops that we do is 3 classes. It's for learning. People can learn skills, and they learn skills. They can go outside and they can do their own selves, you know, to make whatever they skills they learn. And, you know, English classes, computer classes, piñata classes, and different stuff. And even we wanted to work it out because we are in a small organization. This is a Spanish organization. We just got, you know, only 9 years. In this office in Waukegan, we wanted to close the office to come and with you guys because we got this grant from the state. They approved it to be, you know, buy a new building so we can do our own space. And this building is amazing. It's great, so we can do everything more easily by appointments. Working very smooth. Because when we are there, don't matter. You know, we got limit in the classes because the rooms are very small. We don't have more than 10 people there. Even in summer, a lot of people, they take classes, and we sign up for 10 people. And right now, in computer classes, we got only 3 people. And it's very funny. Most of the people, my Spanish people, and also, no matter whatever courses people take, they sign, let's say, the 10 people, but after 3-4 classes, they don't like it, they don't come back. Or some classes are workshops with the family, with the mothers, and they take the classes, and sometimes they get boring, and, you know, it's like that. You know. We wish to get everybody stay for the 3 months period on the classes and the workshop, but sometimes it's very difficult to keep them, but that's free. We always say, oh my God, free, and they don't take advantage on these classes. It's amazing. Usually it's 1, 2, 3. They get your certificate, they complete the course and all the stuff.
But you do have people dropping off clothing and food?
That's only when they call me on the clothes, but not really every day. Because right now we stop it, no giving no more clothes away, because we saw the last time, we saw a lot of clothes, and no people take it. So we said, maybe we started in that situation, and maybe in the future, if we get this place and get more better, and we can plan it more better than this kind of situation, yeah. But right now, it's no clothes, no food. We get the food from the Northern Illinois Food Bank. We get it from them, and we buy it from them, from the grant that we get for the food. We usually, every week, we spend it for $1,000 on food. We give away right away in the same day, on Sundays over there in Waukegan. But and we get this place, we wanted to put, coolers and freezers, so everything is there, so we can make the appointments for the people. We can sign out the people, so they can come in and the times that we wanted to put it on. And yeah, don't make it the problem on the people problem. Because I know right now it's only small parking lot in this place over here. But we know we need to do, the right way to make this happen and make it good for the people and the beach park. And some people come from other areas. Even in Waukegan, there's a lot of people coming even from Ron Lake. And we are got a lot of Caucasian people from Michigan, and we are surprised that we get more people every Sunday.
How many people do you typically get at your Waukegan
In there,
say?
because like I said, one day, and it's normally we got almost 200 cars.
Wow, that many.
And it's because we got to be parking, but we got volunteers with us, and there's a parking with that. And we make all the countries away in an hour, and right away we service and they go service. And 40 minutes we serve in the 200 cars. Sometimes, some cars, because, somebody mentioned it, some cars coming very early, they're not the time that, and it's turning the parking there, but we control all that without problems. And that we have already 2 years doing this, and we got, everything is getting very good. But here it's going to be totally different.
During the hearing, there was a question regarding the disposal of food. I think Mr. Hernandez.
That's correct, yes.
Yes, he indicated that something regarding warm food. I was just wondering, are you guys planning on serving hot meals? That was mentioned by Mr. Hernandez. Do they warm food?
Not really. Probably see if we qualify because we're going to maybe apply for it. Because it's not kitchen, there is very small like that. I don't know. You can see in the future. So right
It's
now,
not part of your request.
So just wanted, my name is Dave Hernandez with LA Design Architects of the plans that you're looking at. When you say medicine, it's probably medical on there, so like wheelchairs, walkers, no medicine.
Okay.
I want to make sure that was clear.
Okay.
And to your point of this gentleman, the grant's ready to go. So he would like to get those improvements going just as soon as we get approval. Hopefully grant approval. And then we have no problem redesigning the parking lot to enter egress from the north.
Traffic flow.
So that way to avoid going back into the neighborhood. Absolutely, we have no problem.
Okay, yeah, there's semantics, because I see the dumpster enclosure is shown there. It would be better if that were tucked somewhere else if cars were going to be, driving through. But that.
I have another layout that,
Yeah,
we
okay.
present to
Okay.
the village. So
Now, something I didn't pick up in the paperwork, and you just mentioned, are you saying that your Waukegan location is closing and you're moving? Your wish is to move.
but now we're not gonna move right away. We wanted to make everything as nice for even for us. The way we see, because I feel you guys for the traffic feels really hard. So for my heart and my vision is to we do the right away, all the construction, we do all the communication, and when everything is done, very nice. So we can
Okay.
Because if we come right away, we know we're gonna get a little bit difficulty on the appointments. 'Cause,
Right.
You know, a lot of people right now, they are used to go there.
Right.
But no, we know we're gonna call everybody because we got all the phones, and we start told the people, with me, maybe we're gonna do it. So when we move up, we're gonna be appointments, so we know, we already know, so we're gonna give a call. Even we sign up, test matrices contract, so we are making groups, test matrices. So when other people know what kind of is happening, even phone call too, we got a secretary there. It's different ways to communicate.
So if I could,
And also,
what I think I heard you just say was that you would be, you would plan to make all the improvements immediately prior to occupying the building, as opposed to the interim plan that had the interim parking and the interim uses inside and all of that. You would rather, you basically sounds like you're saying you'd rather just do it, get all the improvements done, and then get the occupancy and from there.
and you know why I said this? Because the grant from the state, if we don't have this, let's say today, the grant is over in the 30, in June 30 with that. So that's why we are, they're calling us and email us, what happened, you got it, so, because if we don't have it, so, and the 30 is gonna be done, you know. Yeah, we're not gonna get anything, so. And I don't know, I don't know about the government, even, I told you, you know.
So if,
Go ahead.
are you done?
Go ahead.
I know one of Andrew's notes in there, there is a high likelihood that the grant will transfer to this location. Have you said the grant is ready?
I'll let you speak to that. Okay. I'm going to Simpson, grant has,
Can you please speak into the microphone and everybody get closer since we are
Yes.
recording? Thank
okay, the state has already approved the location, and the funds are awaiting approval from the Village of Beach Park to be released. So once that takes place, then they will activate releasing the funds. It's $750,000, which gives them the ability to purchase the property and make all the improvements necessary to bring the property. And you know, that will bring it up to pretty much the highest value in the Sheridan Road corridor. I checked some of the other businesses, and the one that was valued most was the BP at $536,000 assessed value. So this building will, this location will be improved up to about $800,000 total.
Thank you.
Is that grant contingent upon occupancy permit or the CUP?
Approval from the City of Beach Park.
So back to Mark's point, I agree. I don't like the interim plan. If the approval were for the plan in total, again, as the mayor alluded to, then that, if you got that approval without the interim, it sounds to me like you would be okay to get your grant. Is that correct?
Yes, just the exact time frame of how long it would take to be released.
Understood.
You know, it's with the
Right.
state.
I'm
But-
just speaking hypothetical right now. I can't speak for the whole board. But
Yes, yes, sir, I understand.
thank you.
So you think the timing would work out then for you to continue operating temporarily in Waukegan while your building permits and your paving plan and things are getting done before you jump over into the final layout?
Yes, they would finish the purchase contract, of course, and then apply for the necessary permits.
Andrew, is this all on, Mark, is this all on one pin, or is that, are we combining two properties, or are they already combined?
It's on a single pin,
Okay.
the caretaker's residence and the commercial structure on one pin.
Because I'm trying to understand the benefit of the caretaker. Most businesses of that sort, of that, you know, retail businesses, that sort of, don't have a caretaker's house on property. So I'm just wondering what the function there is.
most likely, it would just be for office space. If Mr. Pena wanted to stay there, he would be able to stay in that particular caretaker property.
So, yeah, it won't be for office spaces, we discussed that.
Well, I see that, you're building office space inside, right?
So, yes, it would be for him to live in. I mean, what we're really interested in is the building, because the building is large, it's commercial space. The house is just an extra, which he's, well, you know, he would be the caretaker, he could live there. But yeah, it will be used for office space. We discussed that with Andrew.
And if I may, Andrew, is there a way to limit occupancy to employees or officers? So it doesn't become rental, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, that is a part of the definition of caretaker's dwelling, and typical of how the caretaker's dwelling CUP is handled.
Yeah, there's very specific language in that variance. It has to be an employee or a manager.
Got it.
Okay, so it can't be a rental property for someone else.
Correct.
And one last question, then I'll be quiet for it. There was a mention of a trailer, and that I don't get out of because there's a lot of storage in that big warehouse building. Somewhere in the record from the hearing, there's mention of a trailer for storage. I'm trying to understand why that.
Yeah, if there is a trailer mentioned, then it will be within that building. We do have
so it's not
large overhead doors. that we
It's
can
not,
put
gee,
in.
the building's full, let's start putting stuff outside.
No, we're going to keep it nice. We're
Okay.
going to improve the property, certainly.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, so I have a question. One of the things that you're asking for that's on our list of departures from the regular zoning district is increasing the number of principal buildings on a zoning lot to 2, and currently the zoning has it set at maximum of 1 principal building. What's the reason for asking?
Because of the existing house. The house is the second building. So we've got the commercial building and the house. The zoning allows 1 principal structure, 1 principal use for the property, and we would have 2, one being the house, the second being the business.
But it's already on the same pin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but we've been had similar situations where you've got a home and a commercial parcel, and the ordinance does not account for that largely and this has been something that's been common to this site. We've had multiple times when we had the owners would change and they'd come in and petition to use the home as a caretaker's dwelling. So it's just one of those awkward things. That's the way it was built, and and ironically, if it wasn't there, this probably wouldn't be a discussion. But nobody wants to tear it down because it's worth money. It's one of those.
So structures in the garage would be an accessory structure, and that would be the requirement.
That's correct.
During the testimony from, during the hearing, I guess it was stated that Mr. Hernandez indicated there'll be 2 to 3 people typically utilizing the dwelling unit. I'm just wondering, is it used for living purposes, or it's going to be used for other?
No, only the house itself will be, the dwelling will be used for living only, so it could be him, his wife, his kid, you know.
Along with that, do you haul food and stuff that you give away, or you have to go pick it up? Or is it delivered to the place?
In the future, we know the North event, we can get asking for delivery, or we can go for the pickup, because we got it 2 ways. So, and the best way is we got it.
Okay, and then the second thing is, when people come there, do you have a box already packed that you just hand to the people, or do they have to come inside and pick it up?
Everything's gonna be set up.
So in other words, when a car pulls through, you can walk out with the box and give it to them?
Yes. Just put in the trunk. Just wait, drive it, put in the trunk.
So,
in another situation, let's say, I know some people, they're walking, like they're walking, some people around the area, they're walking. So we just, sometimes we can have reject it. We just say, okay, yeah, because, they're gonna know the part of the world, right? They give away food in there. So in those situations, we have to try to control the system. Let's say freezer. We know we are gonna get enough food, and also we applying for another grant. Another grant is for 350, so we can get
Thank you.
enough food for everybody. We need.
This just isn't for Beach Park. Oh, is that what they do, is pass the word and then you get more? And I understand that there was, I read a little paragraph about there was a second building in Waukegan that you were going to move to. What happened there? There was,
I can speak to that. The owner of the building did not want to extend the contract for the closing. That's simply all it was. We had a contract with a certain date, and we needed another 60 days to close, and he wasn't willing to wait. Where the owners of this property now, they've been waiting.
Do you have a current list of members? It's a club, so I'm assuming that you either have to join it or you have a current. Does that list change, or you can go ahead and elaborate on that? You have a current list of members?
We got a list of the most people that come to every Sunday. We got a whole and for all everybody when they get it, they sign in, and we got their info.
Is the question the members of the organization, members of this organization, is that the
The
question?
members that he served, yes,
Okay,
as part of the club. I'm assuming you have to take a membership of some.
no.
Well, we have the members, but we're trying to work it out. But no, even we got little mistakes in the organization because we put a club Apostol Alto is because we got one program in our city, Mexico, and over there we got special treatment with the government. Let's say over there we send the wheelchairs, and we buy like 3 wheelchairs. So the state buy another 3 wheelchairs, the city buy another 3 wheelchairs, and the federal buy another 3 wheelchairs. So we can give away to the people, poor people in Mexico. But that's why we put Club Apostol Alto, because we register with the government in Mexico. But in here, we never told to put a different name, so that it doesn't hurt like a club, because sounds like it's a club of people. It's not.
So this is not
we got
like a-
501c3 as community organization.
Yeah, this is not like a social club where people belong and can come. Okay, so this is,
There's a mistake at the name, and I'm sorry about this. Me understand because some people, even a lot of people I told, hey, okay, the name is a Club Apostol Alto, but we're not a profit organization. Community organization is open to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard it's Apostol Alto, means it's only people from your country, for your town.
Yeah.
No, it's 501c3. It's a community organization for everybody. But yeah, we had that mistake myself because we working with the Mexican government, and over there we do programs too.
How many people does your list consist of right now? You say you have a list of individuals as part of the organization that you serve?
Well, we got only like 30 people for the, like
30 people, 30 families?
this.
I know you
Not
mentioned.
the organization is 30 members, or the people you serve is?
the service is
hundreds.
serving a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So you don't require membership in your organization, but you have a board of directors and you have people that work or volunteer or
Volunteers,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're part of it.
I know, I think I get what you're asking, and that's, I think it's all in the name. I think that's the confusion.
Well, he had mentioned Beach Park would benefit from it, but if they already have lists made up, I'm assuming that they're from people
Oh, I see.
or
Yeah.
other geographical regions.
Yeah, Okay, so you're asking about the people that are being served.
Yes.
And are you specific about, are you asking how many people from Beach Park?
I was just, well, if he can answer that, but I was just more curious as to how many people are part that they serve on a regular basis.
Okay. Do you know the number of people that you would say monthly that you serve?
Right now over there, monthly is like 600 families.
600 families? Okay. Does that help?
Yeah, I thought it said 20 in here.
Oh.
So can I ask?
Sure, go right ahead.
You brought up something interesting when you said about people walking to get the food once they hear about it. And I think it's an admirable thing, you know, the food pantry and giving away. We've had trouble on Sharon Road with pedestrians getting hit by cars. You said you've got a number of volunteers that come on the day of food distribution. Would it be possible to get a commitment to make sure you've got some volunteers in the front? So if there are people on foot, maybe you could have, call them crossing guards or someone with a vest that could help navigate so that we don't have people carrying boxes of food across the street and getting hit, because for some reason people like to go 90 miles an hour on Sheridan Road. A few people, not a lot, just Don and his friends. But so anyway, but when you brought that up, that kind of made me think about that conversation. So if you've got enough volunteers, you can commit to having someone help with that.
Even like it's good thing that we are talking that. Even if we saw people like that, probably we just ask, okay, we give you a ride back to your house, or next time give us your information and we deliver it to your house. And that's another goal that we wanted, to get a van so we can deliver it. The people they don't have a car, they don't drive, like others, they need it on their house. So
that's an option for your volunteers to deliver a box because it's heavy for elderly people.
Yeah, there's another. It's for future because we know we need person to pay for those kind of. Right now, only one secretary is paid. I don't have a pay. I'm voluntary. But we also for this grant comment, I can get paid too. But we are looking for even for future. You know, making better everything, making better. You know, sometimes we make little mistakes, but those mistakes to make it more better. Right. Personal organization and looking at us for for being the best in the way that we can help.
How long have you been in Waukegan?
Like I said, in the office, we moved it 5 years ago. We started in the 2013, the organization, but we was, going to banquet halls, to the park, making a little festivals, kermesse, things like that. We receive funds, and those funds we use them for helping the people in Mexico. But when we get enough funds, that's why we are working that hard. So, and because the COVID starts, people invite us to say, "We don't give a fuck to people." So, some people ask me, "Hey, you got a lot of volunteers. Come, let's go to the banquet hall. It's called Paris, and make pantry for the people." I go, "Okay, let's go." And after that, we find out about the Northern Illinois Food Bank. And we sign in with them, and they very happy, and they say, "Man, unbelievable how many people you are serving in one Sunday." And that time, 2 years ago, it was 500 people every Sunday.
On one Sunday?
In one Sunday. And we serving they start coming in at 7:30, and we servers at 10 o'clock, and by 11:30, everybody gone. And even sometimes, there's still people coming. And you got it, so it's already good.
Thank you.
In some of our comments, it mentioned that you were going to serve 20 families on just a weekend. It also mentioned something about no more than 3 days a week. So will you be servicing people during the week as well?
Yeah, it's what we said. We gotta do like appointment in this kind of new way that we want to even like I said, this place. It's very huge and very nice, so we can have the food there, make it a kind of appointment, because we know they have that much people, so we can different days, different times, different hours, so distribute everything smoother, so we don't have this kind of situation that every Sunday and there we got a lot of work, a lot of people, volunteers, and we don't want to do that. So we wanted to make it a little better, but with this new plan and service. And
I don't know if we're confusing the, because he doesn't teach you classes. I don't know.
The food pantry sounds like the traffic, the classes sounds like the evening activities where hopefully 10 show up and maybe 3 show up.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't
Is
sure.
that, are we on the same page here?
It just says here, they expect pickup for, it says for 20 families. It's, it says generally on the weekend. On page 30.
Yeah. Yeah, by appointment, every 15-minute intervals, right? That's the area we're looking at.
Although, as I think Trustee Jensen indicated, some of those staggered schedules typically don't. Yeah, you have staffing issues, you may have equipment issues, you may have any number of issues that variables may come in and throw the schedule off.
Sure.
People getting there early.
Right. We are, again, more than likely, highly likely, getting rid of the interim plan, so we're going to have a little more, egress, ingress, room to be off the roads. That will remedy that situation.
So once the work is done, I see that the future floor plan shows 3 small classrooms and 1 large classroom. You mentioned festivals, activities, and things like that. Do you currently have like Saturday night parties, events where there's a big crowd? So that's not part of your plan?
No, we don't plan that kind of situation. We want to keep going in the embarkment halls to the, whatever we got, like our anniversary. That's in January, and we always go to a banquet hall when we can fill it out more than 300 people. Because even the place is not. Even if we do like an exhibition and the hall there is open to the public, where come see and go, come and see and go. Nothing.
Exhibition? What describe exhibition?
Like there's the piñata. They make it when they finish their classes, their courses, like inviting their families to come in and see what they did, everything, and see and have a little supper, and that's it. Very fun. And yeah, we don't want it to stay until the latest 11 o'clock. Right? Yeah.
So you currently don't have a liquor license or anything like for special events or things like that, or you're not interested in applying for a liquor license with gambling and things like that?
No, it's not my goal because it's a community organization. Definitely no. It's not my vision, that kind of stuff. It's not. It's, sometimes one of the volunteers, like sometimes they got their birthday. We plan to just get a little sharing time with all the volunteers, keep it, refreshment.
Those type of things aren't open to the public. Those aren't announced. Okay. Thank you.
Is the building ready to go now, or is there a big list that they have to do before they're allowed to go in?
One of the conditions of approval, the draft ordinance was based on a staff recommendation that we have to get in there and inspect it and confirm it's been vacant.
So we really don't know what all has to be done until we go through that?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
The improvements made to the building are going to be minor. There's a Part A and a Part B. They just want to petition, put an opening in the petition where you can enter one side to the other without getting out, and 3 classrooms.
Okay.
Basically.
Thank you.
No structural changes.
All right.
Just minor improvements.
But suffice to say, it would have to comply with all the codes, et cetera, for a public building, so.
Including ADA.
Yeah, I think I think they've got the bathrooms now that they didn't used to, but, yeah. They're up, it's like, just like any other commercial buildings.
Mr. Mayor, there was a discussion of reducing parking setbacks from 0 on the east side to 2 feet.
Well, what I was going to suggest, and of course there's a tight timeline. What I'm hearing is that a lot of the departures that were initially requested would go away based on their agreement that they would do all of the improvements prior to certificate of occupancy. So that would be the parking area, the lighting, the landscape improvements, all of that would be part of, so we wouldn't be varying those items anymore. And if we were to, if we were all in agreement, we would have to amend the ordinance in front of us to reflect that by removing those departures, removing some of the drawings, removing some of the conditions that are listed out. I've been just quietly sitting here making notes as we go, the types of things that we would be striking from this document, from this proposal, to accommodate that change in plans, if I could say it that way. Ordinarily, I would recommend that we would send it back to the Plan Commission for hearing of the new plan. But we're hearing, and not without sympathy, that they've got a large grant available to them, site-specific grant that requires permissions. I don't know if it would be wise to try to craft or recraft this tonight, or whether we would be wise to ask the petitioner to delay for another 2 weeks till our next board meeting and have a finally crafted and polished agreement here, as opposed to hacking it up here on this spot. I wanted to ask the petitioner if there's modifications to be made and a vote to be taken in 2 weeks. Does that alter your situation?
Two things. I definitely want to address that. The east side, it was from 0 to 2, so we're actually, providing a better separate of where the egress, ingress, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we're improving that. We're not asking for any more on that. And then we were, I'm not trying to be egregious or whatever. We were supposed to be on the docket, I believe, like a month ago. We got kind of pushed back, and then we eventually got to here a month or so later. So we would like to try and avoid that. I know that the village has some other things they have as well, and we've got to the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the seller is very anxious. He's not making any money right now. If at all possible.
The risk, and this is why I bring it up, the risk is that we make a change in this document on the fly that impacts you negatively. And it would be probably a further delay for the petitioner down the road if something had to be reheard, corrected, all of that. So that's, sometimes I just don't understand the terms of the grant and I don't know how the board's going to vote, but if we've had some significant changes proposed here to the ordinance that we have in front of us. If the interim plan goes away and a lot of the variations go away, and we just take and redline them out tonight and make a mistake, you could be having to live with that. And
I've worked with it quite a bit. I mean, we're very lenient. We're willing to work with the village, certainly. And
yeah, no, and I understand all of that. And, I don't see, for example, a reconfiguration of the parking lot is a big deal. I mean, it's certainly something that has to be approved in the construction space anyway. But changing conditions of the conditional use permit, that's pretty big. And if we strike something, or if we don't strike something, it could lead to other delays in the future. That's all I'm trying to point out. I don't know what the board's.
I think if we, timing, I think is, the big thing is, I mean, hopefully you guys approve, right? Is if we can get that approval, we could then, you know, we can then go to the state, the grant, and say, yes, we're going to approve, but we still got to iron some things out.
The approval and the ironing have to happen together. We can't say, you're okay, but.
Have we been keeping a list of departures that we're discussing tonight?
Yeah.
Can we read through that? and
Well,
make sure
certainly.
everybody agrees on it?
The challenge is, I mean, it's all here in black and white, but without getting into the minutia, there are conditions that would be struck. There's timelines in here that would basically go away.
Right.
There's other language attached to that. We have to make sure we're not taking something out that needs to be there, or
Mayor,
vice versa.
May I suggest something?
Sir.
I'd be amenable to a special meeting if we need a week to recraft this. I can make myself available. I don't know what the rest of the board.
Yeah, and I don't know that either.
I'm out of town next week.
Yeah, and there can be challenges. I don't know how quick staff would be able to turn it around, et cetera. So I'm just throwing that out there. If we vote on what we have in front of us, that's option one, modifying the document. I've got maybe 15 or 16 different items that could be struck based on just listening and walking through this in the ordinance. And I get nervous. That's a standard.
Well, some of them are major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if it's an absolute deal breaker, if we're not resolving this tonight, then we can vote on it as it is. I heard some less than favorable thoughts about that with the interim plans, et cetera. So I'm just trying to put all the cards on the table.
Along that line, I can't support it with the interim provisions in place. I think that's a good plan, all in. But we've got, at least the external stuff's got to be done first. You're going to have traffic problems. It's just not going to work.
Right. That's our plan, certainly. We no more interim plan.
But we have to do that in writing.
Can we amend the motion and the second to say removing the interim plan, and we're here now instead of having another meeting? If we have to spend 30 minutes going through this list, let's do it and be done with it. Right? We can. Is there another reason why that's not wise?
We certainly can. The point is, it's pretty hefty. There's a lot of material to go through. We can give it a shot, if that's the desire of the board.
Well, the list of, Andrew, how many things are on your list? John said 15. Whoever has more will go through that list.
Yeah, there are the section 4, section 5, and section 6.
Yep.
All have references to the interim plan. Code relief in section 4. Code relief in section 5. Section 4 is just the references to the plan itself. Section 5 has 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8 get altered by moving an interim plan. Section 6, conditions number 2 and 3, those are written specifically for the interim plan. They would have to be dealt with.
For those, Andrew, would you say that all of the improvements in sections 2 and 3 would have to be made prior to a certificate of occupancy?
Yeah, I mean, they're split by interim and future, so if that was the desire, you'd have to combine the two and just say both lists are done by CO. Condition 6 is removed, and then there's discussion of changes to the conditions of approval that would allow for a alternate access, Chrissy instead of Coolidge.
Right.
You know, I think the thing you need to consider too is there's a lot of additional conditions that have been expressed tonight that are totally new and haven't been evaluated.
I mean, there's no sidewalk on Sheridan Road. Now you have comments that there's going to be a lot of pedestrian traffic. None of that's been considered by staff, nor any evidence provided on how that's going to safely be accommodated. You know,
Those are my
there's
concerns, yeah.
there's still issues, you know, with respect to the total parking, and, you know, I've heard comments tonight about 500, 600 people. You know, without adequate evidence on that safety review, I don't know how we can review that in a week and ensure that the conditions exist. We haven't been in the building, so we don't know what the status is, you know, as far as the building permit goes to accommodate a use that we don't really, that staff hasn't reviewed because we don't have the information on what those uses are inside of the building. So I just want to put a perspective. There's a lot of things that I've heard that add a lot of conditions that we've not reviewed, wouldn't have a lot of input to provide you with those corrections to the ordinance. So just something to consider along the way.
I think it's safe to say if I'm just reading the tone of the conversation of the board, that if we were to put forth, if we were to vote on the motion that was put forth already, I would say there's a strong likelihood that it would fail because of many of the things that have been discussed, and many which would be removed. If the ordinance is cleaned up, I don't have a solid sense for how that would go until I see the final version of the ordinance. And my concern is I've been sitting here long enough to know that when you try to rush something over the dais here, oftentimes you get unintended results. If it's not an absolute deal breaker, my recommendation would be to have staff make these changes and bring them back to us in their final form, and at the same time in consultation with the petitioner to make sure that we're on the same page. Two things: I don't want to approve something unintentionally, and the other, or I don't even want to vote on something unintentionally, and the other, we don't want to vote on something that you're not in agreement with. My concern about, normally in this situation, it would go back to the Plan Commission for another hearing. It would then come back to the board. You don't have that kind of time, and we don't want to put you in that position of messing up your grant. I do want to give it a fair consideration, and if your answer is that it is not absolutely necessary that it be approved tonight, and that a vote on the fourth Thursday, the second and fourth are our meeting nights, the fourth Thursday, which would be the 23rd. That would give the board the best chance at the most correct information, and maybe even have an opportunity to revise that parking flow so that, you know, the board could actually see what it looks like. I get, you know, changing a sentence or amending a sentence is one thing, but when you start going through this many changes, I'm concerned it gets worse instead of better. So are you comfortable with that? Waiting till the 23rd? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Understood. Yeah. Yep. Right.
Is it possible for you to ask for an extension from the state, a 30-day extension?
Well, we've been dealing with this since November last year, with this location.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's possible or not at this point.
Yeah. And is it possible if this didn't work out that grant would transfer to another location?
No, I think they'd have to reapply all over again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's site specific.
Okay.
So, that being said, I mean, in the next, between now and the next meeting, do we have access to the building to look and come up with a list of that? I mean, have we been denied access? Is that what you're saying? We
No,
haven't-
there's access to the building, and there again, the only difference in the final plan and the interim plan was just to add the parking
I understand.
and make the improvements and put in 3 classrooms.
And Trustee Addison, their burden. I was telling them this is wrong or that is wrong. At this point, it would be pointless. They have the burden of meeting the code, applying for the permit, submitting the plans, all that. So it's not. I don't think that's even on our radar right now as far as gaining access per se. Am I speaking out of school?
No, that's a good assessment of it. We were not denied access. We found it not relevant to the CUP, just letting them know in advance that they can't occupy the building until they demonstrate that it's deserving of a CO.
Yeah. And they have professionals that should be advising them accordingly, so.
Before we move on, one thing on traffic I'd like to touch on, and Mark brought up a good point with respect to flow. We might want to think about one way in from Sheridan and then out onto Christie if they build that loop, because especially as tight as that parking is out front, that would make it a lot safer to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I drove that today. You can actually drive through there with a small car and make that turn around the garbage.
Pretty narrow, yeah, yeah. The only other clarification on the required screening between the west property line and the Coolidge Avenue right-of-way.
We will be fencing that.
That would be fenced?
Correct,
So that
yes.
would be what type of
Be a 6-foot board on board.
board on board? Would-
Privacy.
Privacy, correct.
Would that, Andrew, be a suitable screen for that, assuming setbacks and everything else?
Yeah, they would be able to comply with the screening between a commercial and residential.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Mayor, out the residential property, they can say legal, non-conforming property, it's a single-family dwelling.
We
I
do
think-
anticipate screening that as well, all sides.
Okay.
There was one, but it was dilapidated and it
Yeah.
had been removed by the crest of the village. Also, some trees were cut down by the crest of the village to, try and meet.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
That
then-
should be spelled out then, that fencing stuff, because
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
things they're asking for is elimination.
Yeah, one of the reasons I brought that
Yeah.
up is that we'll be adding that back into, for clarification purposes, and/or the exhibits could be modified to reflect that. But either way, we'll trust staff and the petitioner to be diligent on those items. Then I would say at this point, it would be appropriate to table the motion as, well, it could be tabled, it could be rescinded, but it should be, we
I
want
would
to
say
table it.
motion to table the item.
Yeah, and then we'll have a corrected.
Correct.
Okay. So, would the,
I have a crazy question under discussion.
Well,
yes.
In the past, we've done straw polls
Mm-hmm.
for the benefit of the petitioner, just so they get an idea. Is there any merit to saying with the interim stages removed and with agreement in the discussion? Would be helpful at all to anybody, or
I don't.
I know it's
think so.
not binding.
I don't think so, because you really don't have the full picture in front of you at this point. And I
Right, it wouldn't be a full picture.
it will be speculative, and it might not be helpful for the petitioner. That would be my opinion.
We had a different lawyer last time. So that's,
I pointed that out more than once.
yeah, okay.
But the last guy, okay. Then would, trustee Wells, would you, well, anyone can make the motion to table, but it would be appropriate if you want to make the motion to table. All right. Trustee Anderson, you wanted to second that? Okay. Any discussion on the motion to table? please.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Sidik. Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're working at it. Well, appreciate y'all being here, and you enlightened me tonight with additional information that I couldn't glean out of the packet. And we will definitely, you'll be hearing from staff and vice versa, so continue on.
Okay. Is it the same forum in 2
Yeah,
weeks?
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It'll be the next board meeting, which is in 2 weeks from tonight.
Same time.
Same time, 7 o'clock,
Great.
right here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, was there anything else from the building?
No, that concludes my report.
Moving on to Public Relations and IG Committee, Trustee Miller.
No report.
No report. All right. Public Safety, Trustee Sidik.
Thank you. I just had one item that I learned about, and it is, I wanted to get some more clarification on this. We're reading that some sort of scammers are targeting residents, impersonating, actually giving names of people at the sheriff's office. Do you know anything about this?
All I know, first of all, good evening, everyone. I can answer to that. That has been a scam that's been going around, not just as our department, with multiple departments in the area. I would suggest to the public, as everybody else, the sheriff's office is never going to ask for your personal information, social security numbers, whatever. Also, we're not going to ask you to go buy gift cards and return and give us the numbers off the bat. Okay? And with that as well, though, if you feel like there's any type of questions that you have of reference phone calls, emails, whatever, call the sheriff's office. We'll be more than happy to come out and speak with the public right away.
Yeah, so they were actually introducing themselves as employees from the sheriff's department.
Correct.
This is,
And this is a scam. Unfortunately, it's a scam that happens way too often. And unfortunately, these scammers are very aggressive, especially with our older citizens. And so they feel like they have to do something. But again, we're never going to ask for personal
right.
information.
I just thought this was low.
Yeah.
This is the lowest I've seen.
It's worse.
Right.
Unethical scam.
Oh, unbelievable.
Now, there is an instance where you would be asking for personal information, but that would be after an arrest, right? With handcuffs and all that stuff.
Correct.
That's a different story. That's,
There would be no question on who you were dealing with.
because that's also unsolicited at that point. But
Now, especially if it's Deputy Love, there's absolutely no question who you're dealing with.
if you have handcuffs on, you have to answer the question. Correct. Just checking.
That's all I had.
Okay. I know we've had some, do you have anything you wanted to report tonight? All right. I do appreciate your attendance, as
thank you.
always.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Moving on, Public Works, Trustee Addison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make it brief since Larry took quite a bit of time this evening. I can say that our road resurfacing program is underway and going well. Adrian's not here to give an official report, but the concrete work and some of creative artwork on the concrete before it was set and replacement of said artwork. But it's going well. Do we have a time frame of final paving, or do we not know at this point?
Yeah, I'd be happy to update you, Trustee Addison and the rest of the board. To your comment on concrete, it was all replaced today. There was some graffiti in a small section.
Got to do that early in the morning, so it's curious for everybody.
Can watch those.
Home, yeah.
They changed the plans, but yeah, all the concrete work has been finished today, and they should have finished the milling. I didn't get a final report, but paving is planned to start next week.
Nice.
So yeah, that's status.
No, I appreciate that with our department. I'm involved in other ventures, and I just received an email today that, yeah, we're probably going to go out to bid late July and maybe get it done before snow plowing season. But I applaud our department for having the priorities in a row and getting it out to bid early. We get favorable bids that way because everyone's not scheduled through the whole summer already, so they're being maybe a little generous early on, not super generous. Quickly.
So are you saying that you don't like having to go out and inspect underground and get it
Actually, I am not opposed, but it's the Township Highway Commissioners that generally have a problem with the roads being torn up during snowplow
Yes,
season.
absolutely.
For good reason. I don't like having to push that envelope, and we have not had that problem for some years here in Deer Park, so I agree.
All right. We have no report from the TIF committee because it has not met. Any staff reports?
Nothing additional, thank you, Mr.
Peggy?
President.
You sure? Okay, all right. We have no old business. Any new business to come before the board tonight? Hearing none, it would be time for citizens to address the board. David's still here?
Yes, I have.
Come on, man.
Jump in. Come on down.
David O'Rear, 9872 West Marguerite Lane, Beach Park. Couple things. I've been watching the progress at the Casey's down there. That ditch going, where the new Paxton Drive comes out, that ditch down there, has anybody took a good look at that? That's a pretty good drop off.
East of the driveway or west of the driveway?
West.
So between New Paxton and Sheridan Road?
Or are you talking about the
Yeah.
old Paxton entrance?
Yes. The ditch, it's probably a county problem.
Oh, along, so you're down Wadsworth to the there, and the new driveway comes out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Paxton comes out to Wadsworth this year. That ditch is the right.
Well, the one to the east of the Paxton Drive has that new retaining wall, and there is going to be a guardrail, handrail or guardrail across the top of that so people can't flip over off of the east side on the retaining wall. The other
Off Wadsworth?
at Wadsworth and New Paxton Drive, right on the east edge. If you look across at CVS, they have a similar thing at their driveway. They have a retaining wall with a black wrought iron handrail there, so people can't step off that retaining wall.
Because I can see somebody sliding down in there when winter time comes.
We did see somebody
living in a neighborhood that's had a few too many.
One other thing, and I'll get out of here. We have for years in our neighborhood over there, Lou, the Oak Forest and Sheridan Road, the building there, that was just approved some time ago for construction. It is a real detriment to our community to have to continue looking at a boarded up building. We're not talking months, we're talking years.
Yeah. Have we heard an update on their construction? I asked this question the other day, and I got a kind of a, do we have any ongoing scheduling?
No, we don't have any good information from them recently. No.
When does their approval require them to act or stop? Was it 1 year
I think you have 1 year to
Just-
establish the use.
to start? Yeah. So the clock's ticking on the new owners of the building to make progress or lose their approval.
What is that, October, November? I can't remember.
I don't recall.
It was late in the year. I
Yeah.
don't remember
Yeah.
which month it was. We'll check.
Yeah. It might do well.
It's on our radar, that's
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
The ownership did transfer? It's not under contract pending something? It's-
No, the ownership had transferred prior to the start of the PUD public hearing process.
I got nothing done when we had old owners.
Yeah.
So it's time something is done with it. And I think you go to the community, they'll pretty much agree with you. I want to thank Mark for everything that he's got done in the neighborhood over there. We had the street sweeper out, and we had no cars parking any of the streets.
Sweet.
So that is, yeah, and I'm a grumpy old man, and I complain a lot. But
Hey, you find something you're good at and you stick with it, right?
there you go. There you go.
Could I ask?
So that's, appreciate what the board has done. I appreciate the time. I know you guys want to get out of here.
David, before you run away, can I ask you, the restoration and the where the two houses were demolished there, how's it, from your perspective, being a grumpy old man that lives in the neighborhood, how's that look to you?
Looks good.
Okay,
Turned out good.
yeah,
From my perspective, the green is filling in.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's coming.
It takes a while. You probably got to have 2 seasons for that to really take over, but, all right.
It's a lot of square footage.
Yeah,
I was surprised how big that project was. You know.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
got 16 trucks sitting out front there. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have no cause tonight for an executive session.
Oh, come on.
I'd like to offer a motion to adjourn, Mayor.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.